Good at my quarterback big board.
Buffet table of everything.
I know. I've got potpourri.
Right.
I've got a big board ready to go for the NFL draft right now, and I'll just go backwards, 6-1. Quinn Ewers, clearly the sixth best quarterback in this draft. All right, Quinn Ewers, garbage. Just get him off here.
Right.
I got Drake May 5.
I don't like Drake May either.
Thank you. I got Bo Nix 4.
I'm not a Bo Nix fan either.
I like Bo Nix better than those other guys.
Yeah,
and then I've got
a backup.
Jaden Daniels 3, Michael Penix Jr. 2, and I got Caleb 1. I'm watching Penix Jr. Now, he just slings it. He reminds me a lot of Purdy. He's a guy that got great pocket feel, can use his legs to throw, throws accurately down the field, sees the field very well. I really like watching him play. What a stud.
I'm warmed up to Penix because I bet against Washington all year. All year. Got burned, which is why if I won that Rose Bowl and Bama would have covered, I was throwing all that money on Washington. I was like, I'm not going to be the sucker to do it again. I've been watching a lot of Penix on his Instagram and seeing who he's about. And Caleb Williams is soured on me this year at USC. Maybe it had more to do with Lincoln Riley. Mm-hmm. But you see USC in the bowl game, and whoever that quarterback was, who was it, Milton Moss or whatever his name was, lit it up.
Miller Moss
Lit it up. And I'm like, well, damn. Wasn't a big drop off from Caleb to whoever. I mean, I ain't get this the bowl game, but you are playing Louisville. I don't know about Caleb. I like, the hype was so much. It just let Caleb be Caleb, but then we started comparing him to Mahomes and this and that. Penix, man, could spin it.
But you know what I like about Penix, similar to Brock?
Spin it.
3-4 years of being a starter.
Yeah.
He's a 24-year-old. He's older, right? Burrow was that way. He was older as well. But he's played a lot of football.
A lot of football.
A lot of football.
The adversity?
Yes.
I didn't realize he tore 2 ACLs.
Bonte, he ended every year with Indiana with an injury.
Yep.
Which is crazy.
Crazy.
I know.
But the way he throws, dude, he's playing with NFL wide receivers, number one.
Yes.
McMillan, Polk, and then Dunze.
Yeah, but he's hitting them.
Dude, he's hitting them in stride.
Yes.
In stride.
Yeah.
70 yards down the field.
Anticipation throws.
So, I like Penix a little more than Caleb right now. That's just me.
But I really believe that the way Brock Purdy has played football this year is going to skew the evaluations for guys moving forward. And I think one of this is me, I'm talking about Joe Shasky, one of my new criteria is absolutely amount of games played. That matters now more than ever. It really does. I'm looking at who looks good right now. Look at Jake Browning. I never thought Jake Browning was any good. There's something and I think the more he plays, he's getting exposed a little more and more. But he looks way better today than he did 6 years ago.
No doubt. Well, coming out of Washington, I didn't think much of him.
Me neither.
But then he's kind of stuck around. And now, no, the games played matters. There's no doubt it matters. And then the type of games you do play in, which is why call me crazy and call me silly for this. But I did like Andy Dalton coming out of college because of that criteria. Now, I didn't think Andy Dalton was going to be some superstar red rifle.
Great career.
But I thought when I was watching him at TC, I was like, man, you know what? The guy doesn't get rattled. They win ugly. They win pretty. Doesn't matter. And he had a long career. He had a lot of success in Cincinnati, although they didn't win any playoff games. But to get there, he had a lot of runs.
Agreed.
Played a lot of good football. Not at the highest levels, but Andy Dalton was in the top 15 conversation for many, many years in the best league in the world. Something about Penix playing all that time and playing in those type of games, those type of environments. Like USC was playing flag football out there, and Caleb does play a lot of big games, but would another year help Caleb? Probably. But he's got to maximize the money that he's going to be offered this offseason.
And I think the other thing about Penix that I really like, his emotional calmness. There's something about watching him play. He seems very under control, very chill, very focused. You know, one of the things that I look for is, that like a great pitcher. Matt Cain is a good example. Are you calm when you're not getting a good strike zone from the umpire? When things around you aren't going well and your shortstop's dropping the ball or whatever? The same attributes apply for a quarterback. And there are times, you're seeing it now with Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes is an all-time great, but he's showing a little more emotion when guys are dropping balls and doing it. And there'll be a time for Brock Purdy at some point where, the talent around him isn't as good as what it is right now. We're not there yet, but at some point that will happen. And what is he going to look like? And we saw a little glimpse of it for that 3-game stretch.
Let me ask you, has Caleb played in inclement weather?
Not really.
Penix has.
The cold Saturday night game up in Utah.
Yeah.
That was it, and he played terrible.
Yeah. Penix has played in rain.
Yeah.
The Oregon State game
was
everybody had Oregon State, right? And I'm thinking, okay, this is the game. Oregon State finally knocks off Washington. Washington, bye-bye.
Yeah.
You're pretenders. And he was throwing that ball through the rain, dude. And I was like, damn. He hit a Dunze in the back of the end zone. And I was like, wow, okay. And then, of course, in Seattle, they had some rain up there in Seattle at times. The Oregon game was raining a little bit.
Yes.
The first one.
Yes.
So he's playing some inclement weather. Obviously, played in Indiana.
It's the layered throws, though, B.
That's what I'm saying. So when I think about if Chicago does move on with the number 1 pick and they say we want to move on from Justin Fields, who fits better there? Is it Penix or is it Caleb Williams in that weather, in that region? I don't know, man. Penix has won me over.
That's what I'm saying.
He's won me over. Is he the most mobile? No. But he has good mobility in the pocket.
He's got enough.
He's got enough.
And he got sacked only 11 times this year. I think he's got great pocket feel. When I watch Brock Purdy, I keep comparing him to Brock because I think there's a lot of similarities between the two players. Brock's feel within the pocket of where the pressure's coming from is unbelievable. I mean, the guy looks like he's got eyes in the back of the head. When do you see him get plastered?
Yeah. Not many
times.
The Baltimore game was ugly. But,
no, but you know what? That's 1 in 25.
That is something that it's a conversation for another day with Brock Purdy.
That?
But his size. He got beat up in that Baltimore game. And he got nicked up.
That's a good point.
And quietly, he hasn't played 2 full seasons yet. He's had a lot of injuries. Now he's got to play through them, and he's a tough kid, but long term, it's the same thing with Jimmy Garoppolo. Bill Parcells said it. I worry about his durability. Then we were worrying about his IQ, and we're worried about the way he reads the defense. But all that stuff came together. I don't worry about Brock Purdy's IQ. I don't worry about his anticipation. But I do worry about his durability long term.
I think that's a fair point.
But I was still investing. I'm not saying I want another quarterback, but long term durability, if he gets hit over and over, he does come up a bit nicked up, and he's a small dude.
I mean, he got rocked in 3 straight games where he had to come out.
Right?
I mean, it happened. If I were to ask you during the 3-game losing streak and we had that bye week, hey, the Niners are going to wrap up the number 1 seed with a week to go. You'd be pretty surprised, wouldn't you?
I would have laughed.
Right?
Because I didn't see the slide from Philadelphia coming.
I didn't either.
I didn't see it coming. And boy, even Baldy, who's going to join us again tomorrow at 7:30, was ripping Jordan Davis saying, this guy's not even playing hard. He walks around the field. He's not in shape. His pursuit angles are terrible. Last month, Jordan Davis was looking great against Buffalo.
Yeah.
What's happened in Philadelphia? So I don't know. But no, to answer the question, Shasky, no, I didn't think we would get home field advantage.
I didn't either. And I just feel like the way that they came out of that bye week and they've hit the ground running, and they haven't been perfect. There's been some games, like even the Arizona game was significantly tighter than I wanted it to be for longer stretches than I wanted. But those are divisional games, which you always talk about. Hey, they're always tighter and tougher than what you want, right? And I think that outside of the Baltimore game, that's the first time I can remember a Niner team in the Shanahan era when they've been somewhat healthy, getting physically manhandled.
Dominated.
As much as Purdy was rattled, and he was in that game, I thought that the defensive and offensive lines for Baltimore just completely physically took it to us in that game. That's the only game that I can remember in the last couple of years where they just look outclassed physically. And so it was a one-off. So I expect it to be better, but they came out of that break, and they were just unbelievable.
Jacksonville. Remember how concerned we were about Jacksonville?
The pass rush was better.
Yep.
The secondary was covering better.
Yep.
The linebackers were stickier and were hitting and weren't missing tackles.
Yep.
Offensively, I felt like Debo's best stretch of football was the second half of the season.
Not 2021?
No, I'm saying this year.
This year. Yeah.
The second half was better than the first half.
He was unbelievable in the second half. Yeah.
I thought George Kittle put together a great year. Quietly.
Great.
He's really flown under the radar.
He's got over 1,000 yards.
That's what I'm saying. And Purdy and him clearly have a connection.
Yep.
I think Brandon Ayuk, to me, and Brock Purdy, their connection is 1A.
Yeah,
that's the number, even better than McCaffrey.
Yep.
I think it's Ayuk, because some of those layered throws in the Washington game, he hit one on an intermediate one that was just beautiful.
How about him pointing? I wish somebody did. I'm surprised nobody did the side-by-side with Garoppolo pointing on Sunday Night Football and throwing the interception against Pittsburgh, and then you show Brock Purdy pointing and Brandon Ayuk in the back of the end zone. But Shasky,
the connection's there.
You can never predict correctly what's going to happen during the NFL season. It's tough. But I couldn't have predicted them having this explosive offense. Like I thought, hey, man, they can average 30 points a game.
I thought it was a little absurd.
But I didn't think it would look like this.
No, me neither.
I mean, they're scoring boom, 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 carrying the defense at times.
The unintended consequence of McCaffrey getting the calf strain over the weekend was that you got a version of Elijah Mitchell we haven't seen for like 2 years.
He looked great against
He
Washington.
looked so good. And if we want to go where we want to go, last year against Dallas in the playoffs, Elijah was big. Go back and look.
He was.
He had like 70 yards, 15 carries. He was really good. You're going to need multiple backs in these playoff games.
No, you're so right. You're so right. I mean, he did look fresh against Washington. That's a big-time development. And to all the people who want McCaffrey to take a break, this is perfect. Because now he's going to get this week off, the next week off, and the next week. Like, he's going to be fine with the calf strain. Now, they said it's a mild one. I do get concerned when it comes to calf strains. He's going to need all this time to rest and get right. But even in that first playoff game, and who knows who's going to be, having Elijah Mitchell run the way he did,
100%.
I feel good about saying, you know what? 20, 25 touches from McCaffrey, maybe we go 15, 20. I could give Elijah Mitchell 7 to 8 carries now. I feel good about him running the football, especially because he has fresh legs, and he's going to be even fresher by the time that playoff game rolls around.
Well, I'm so glad that they got this bye, because to me, this team more than any other, the brand of football they play, forget the you got to stay in rhythm and inform. I was listening to Willard and Dibbs yesterday. Love those guys. I completely disagree with them. Like this team plays a physical brand of football. They need the weeks off.
So they're worried about them getting rusty?
Dude, watch Shanahan out of a bye. He always has his team ready.
They're going to be schemed up.
They always go on a run after the bye. I have no problem with where they're at. And this thing that, you can't rest everybody. We're talking about Trent, Kittle, and we're not even talking about the full game. It's like play for a couple snaps like a preseason game. Take your helmet off. Warner, we're going to take out, Bosa. It's like 6 dudes.
I have no problem benching everybody for this game.
I think they'll play a little and then they'll come out.
I actually don't want to see them until that first divisional round game, whenever they play it. If you want to play it on a Saturday night, Sunday,
I'm with you.
I don't want to see none of these guys. I would start Darnold. I would start Ronnie Bell.
Yes. Well, Ronnie Bell.
Now Debo may want to get to 1,000 yards. I get some of these guys want to get those stats and their numbers and incentives of Pro Bowls and all that. But Debo right now sitting at 871. He would need 129 receiving yards to get to 1,000.
That's what, 2 bubble screens?
Yeah, for him. I mean, he could break them. Against the Rams, too. Against the Rams, he always has a long one against the Rams. So maybe Debo wants to play a half. You try to get him his 1,000 yards.
I'm with that.
Okay, fine. McCaffrey's going to sit. He's going to sit with 1,459 rushing yards and over 564 receiving yards. 2,203 all-purpose yards. And the guy's amazing. We could go on and on about him.
One second on McCaffrey. Part of why I thought they had a bad game against Baltimore was, and this is just my opinion, I thought Shanahan got away from handing the ball off to McCaffrey.
Got cute.
He did.
I
thought the scheme and the game plan that they had into that, and I'm not pretending to be Bill Walsh, just give the ball to McCaffrey. Your one drive where you scored, you fed him, and he brought you all the way on down.
I pulled a U during that game.
What's that?
I was texting with Baldy. Because I'm watching it, and look, I'm not into student.
Did he respond right away?
Oh, he did. He actually responded. Because I was texting him the day before. I said, dude, I pulled a Joe Shasky. Because I actually texted him the day before, and I said, hey, Baldy, man, Cleveland scares me. And Baldy broke it down to us saying, their defenses are different. Cleveland and Baltimore. Baltimore plays that matchup zone. Yeah. And Cleveland, they're playing the sticky man defense. I love the way he says it too. Sticky man defense.
Well, Denzel Ward is sticky.
It's like, damn, that is so damn sticky icky. Anyway, Baltimore, I noticed though, with Baltimore and Cleveland, when you run all those motions and all that window dressing, it doesn't work against those teams. And Roquan Smith says something after the game that I think the Niners need to pay attention to. If they do meet them down the line at Allegiant Stadium. I don't even like talking about the Super Bowl yet because we're not even close to it. But he said, look, man, you could try to play football on grass and call it basketball on grass and do all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you got to line up and play football.
Yeah.
And I think against that team, Baltimore or Cleveland, forget all the motion stuff. I know Shanahan loves the motions and the pre-snap motion and all the window dressing. But against those teams, Cleveland and Baltimore, you need to run right at them.
Well, wouldn't you agree that when you look at the defensive line for Cleveland and Baltimore, they have something that no other NFC team, maybe Dallas, maybe has, where it's like a physical, big, speedy defensive line.
Yeah.
And then the linebacker play for Baltimore is just amazing.
Next level.
Patrick Queen was awesome in that game, and so was Roquan.
They think they have the best linebacker core in football.
Well,
they feel disrespected. And they were
like
better that day.
Yeah.
They were better that day than Fred Warner and Drake Greenlaw. No doubt about that.
You have to give them credit. But I don't see another team. That's why I'm looking at the other NFC. I told you the Philadelphia game, I didn't think they have the personnel to be able to stop what we do well.
No.
Baltimore might, but look, I'll worry about that in February.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just something I was thinking about. It's like when you brought up McCaffrey and how they got cute in that game.
I just thought run the ball.
Just run the ball right at them.
I agree.
Run the ball right at them and then play action pass. But all the window dressing, they were on that.
They were.
And they weren't moving. They were sitting on the bubble screens. They were sitting on everything. All the drags and crossing routes. I'm watching in real time. You know, we have our seats in the end zone. And I'm like, boy, they have somebody designated for those slants and those drag routes on every single play. And it may be Kyle Hamilton. Yeah. It may not be Kyle Hamilton.
He was sitting there, though.
But he was sitting.
He made a really nice play on the first drive against Baltimore to he took a step to the left and then came back to the right. And Purdy just took the bait. And Purdy threw it right to him. It was a hell of a play by the safety. And Purdy knew, like, when I don't know, was Rich Gannon who said it? It's a great analogy. When you turn the ball over in the red zone, especially early in the game, it's like hurting a baby.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And when I heard that, and he was probably a little more severe than that, when I heard that, I was like, you know what? That's a great way of putting it.
Oh, I don't know. Hurting a baby.
It's a horrible thing to do.
It's a horrible thing to do.
Oh, my God.
One thing I've realized, though, with my own child is that I'm much more aggressive in how I handle my baby as opposed to how when I'm handling someone else's baby.
It's like,
well, I'm like, he's fine. He's good.
You know, Chester it's always with me, too. We're coming from gym class, or actually coming from school, and it's raining, and she wanted to walk down the stairs by herself.
Oh.
She likes to be a big girl. We had to get rid of the booster sheet a year ago because she doesn't want to sit in the booster. She's like, no, I'm a big girl. Whatever, okay. Do you, baby girl? Yeah. She almost slipped on those stairs, and she grabbed onto it, and my life flashed in front of me.
Well, I got a story to tell. My buddy John's probably going to be killing me. My buddy Jim's brother, Johnny Moylan, he tore his calf trying to save his daughter from falling down some stairs.
My gosh.
He said he jumped up out of the seats of the bleachers to save her because she got knocked and she was going to go flying down the stairs. And he went to go jump up and save her, and he tore his calf.
Oh, my gosh.
And missed like 9 weeks of work.
Oh, my God.
I love you, Johnny. I'm so sorry. But everything is for consumption out there.
You know, we have a job here, Shasky, where even if we tore our calf, it was on crutches or a scooter.
Oh, we'd be fine.
We still have to come in.
I know.
Hey, all you're doing is talking.
I know.
Wheel around that scooter, buddy, at 5 in the morning.
Well, I was talking to Odyssey, HR, and they were like, "Oh, so how many weeks of this paternity thing? I need to get to work like tomorrow. Yeah. Like I'm afraid Spadoni and Lubman were doing such a great job. They're going to take my job."
Or FP Senior.
I mean, Jeff, I saw the way you were looking at him, and I said,
"I knew it.
Jesus Christ!
He hasn't looked at me like that in years."
I mean, FP was like baseball, and Bonte was like, "Yeah, FP."
Well,
I was like, when I bring up baseball, this guy's ready to spin my face.
You know why? FP
He's like ready to Lou Piniella me.
No, FP won me over because I had my Giants six. I was like, I don't know how this is going to work with FP Senior. He's a former player. The way I ripped the Giants, and I just gave my takes, and he goes, "You know, Bonte, I don't disagree with a thing you said. You're spot on with everything." And I was like, I looked over at Lubman, I looked over at Pat Hegan, and then I went off on another baseball take, and he's like, "No, I totally agree," because he's just looking at me, right? And I'm like, oh, God, what am I doing? And he just looks at me, and I was like, oh, man, he's full of my baseball takes.
It was at that moment I knew I had to come back.
It was at that moment where I said, boy, Shasky may be out of a job.
I know.
You may have a butcher shot from 6 to 10. No, okay.
I'm optimistic about that.
Oh, how's that guy been?
Oh, boy, he hasn't tweeted me.
Brian in Palo Alto?
He didn't tweet me.
Was he down bad after the Brock Purdy game?
No, I tell you, he was back up with Klay Thompson with that 3-game slump.
Oh.
Because I definitely got some tweets from him then.
He came out the woodworks?
Don't give me false equivalencies.
I missed all these drops.
Oh.